Hey Greyhounds fans, thanks for listening to the Hounds Huddle podcast on Moraviansports.com, the Greyhound Sports Network, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. I am LJ Smith, Assistant Director of Athletic Communications here at Moravian University, and on this episode, I sat down with Dave Carty, the head coach of the men's lacrosse team. Dave and I will discuss his time as a student athlete, his coaching tenure leading him to Moravian, and completing his 7th year at the helm of the Greyhounds men's lacrosse program. So let's get this episode underway and meet our guest, Dave Carty. Thank you again for tuning in to the Hounds Huddle podcast, streaming live on Moraviansports.com, the Greyhound Sports Network, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. On this episode, I have the pleasure of sitting and talking with head men's lacrosse coach Dave Carty. How are you doing today, Dave?
Doing all right. Seems to be a really nice summer day out there today.
Yeah, can't complain at all. I appreciate you taking time to sit down and kind of reflect over the past season, but also your experiences up to your time here at Moravian. So thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So we'll start back with how did you first kind of learn about the sport of lacrosse?
You know, it had been popular in North Jersey. I grew up on Long Island, so, you know, you just kind of have that background that, you know, that those are areas that you have lacrosse. Mm-hmm. You know, so there was, you know, I was more than familiar with, you know, lacrosse because of where I grew up.
Okay.
So
throughout high school, were you recruited at all to play getting into the collegiate level?
I was actually more of a football player. I was interested in football initially. And then when I ended up at Utica College, the plan was to play, you know, stay there a year. But I ended up, you know, talking to the lacrosse coach one day in the weight room. And, you know, he was just looking for guys who had a background who had played and grabbed me. And, you know, we went from there.
So you transitioned from like a football kind of vibe. Were you went to Utica for football and then? Well,
no, they didn't have football.
Oh,
I was just, you know, it was at the time it was part of Syracuse. My brother went to Syracuse.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. So it was part, you know, it was both. And, you know, so kind of the thought was that I would go there. You know, I wasn't sure if I was going to like it or not. And, you know, it turned out a great decision for me.
That's incredible.
So we had ended up, you know, playing lacrosse for Coach Mike Cuff, who was pretty great.
So what was that experience like, kind of being recruited in a weight room to stepping on the field and competing?
It was a great group of guys, and you know, it was just a different feel, I guess. You know, Division III was different back then. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it was a really tight-knit group of guys. You know, Coach Cuff really, really, like, had relationships with everybody and worked hard with everybody. He was a really old-school coach, but he was a great guy. We still talk.
So after playing in college, was there something that kind of pushed you to coaching, or like what made you? What did you do after you graduated?
Well, I graduated. I had a degree in biology, research biology, a degree in history. So I came home, and one of my buddies actually was coaching at Morris Catholic High School. Okay. So he grabbed me there, and you know, he was like, "Well, you can coach. They didn't have lacrosse. You can coach football with us." So I started coaching football. Okay. And then I met Jim Davidson, who was the head coach at Kane College, and he offered me a position with him on his staff. So, you know, I started working with him at Kane.
Wow. So the football lacrosse crossover a little bit from high school, and then even after you graduate, getting into coaching.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's so neat.
Yeah, it was cool.
So then after Kane, what flourished? What was the next step? Did you want to go further into coaching?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed that, and we were really successful there. We won an ECAC championship and a Knickerbocker championship, and Jim Davidson was just a great head coach to be under. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we worked and we did some stuff there with him, you know, and then you started working with the guys, and things just kind of developed from there.
So what did you specialize in an area of coaching? Because there's different positions, there's all kinds of things.
Yeah, I was defensive coordinator for the majority of my career.
Okay. So then after that, what was the path leading up to Moravian? Where were your different stops at?
Well, I was 6 years at FDU. Okay. You know, I guess before here I was at Lafayette. Okay. And I had spent time with that staff, and they were, I mean, it was just awesome to be at that level, you know, to be at the D1 level, and, you know, you're playing the big dogs, and, you know, you're at Army Stadium, Navy Stadium, like.
The environments are different.
We played Loyola had been the national champs the year before, and we got to go down there and play Loyola and kind of see that level, and it was neat. It was really fun.
That's incredible to see the difference from what you experienced going all the way up to the Division I level. There's obviously differences between the levels, but were there similarities that you noticed as well?
Oh, by far, it's the relationships. You can only change the X's and O's so much.
Yeah.
But in that level, it's just the detail. It's 6 inches either way. It's 3 inches either way.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have 3 full-time guys on staff, plus a head coach. So everything is broken down. And, the recruiting is just that much more extensive. And, you're kind of grinding away on those things. So it's a very different. It's different, but it's not.
There's nuances that vary level to level. I feel that's similar in a multitude of ways, but just noticing that it's instead of 6, it's 3 inches. Like, it's that detailed.
We laugh. I was talking to some of those guys before. We're playing Loyola, and we were like, all right, we're going to change the defense a few times. Like, we're going to try to confuse them a little bit. Mm-hmm. So we run something, their attackman, we catch him.
Yep.
He makes a mistake, we get the ball back, and he starts laughing.
Yeah.
And he's near our sideline. He starts laughing. He goes, "You got me that time." He's like, "But I know what you're doing now."
Yeah.
Next time, boom, they hit it. They get a goal.
Wow.
And he's like, "You're gonna have to change it again."
We're
yeah, we are.
And that also alludes to the caliber of the player as well, knowing how to adapt on the fly like that.
Immediately, he knew where the slide was coming from, what we were doing, it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's intense. That's really unique. That's cool. So you mentioned you were at Lafayette the year prior to coming here. What kind of interests you in coming to Moravian?
It's actually kind of funny because Katie McKittrick, who was a graduate, kind of talked to me about it. And I came in and I met with, Scott Dapp and JB and the whole crew. And it was just that sense of we were successful in athletics. We want a successful program. We're going to work hard at that. Mm-hmm. Moravian understands the importance of athletics within this environment. Yeah. So, it was. You knew that they were going to work to have a competitive program.
That, and you kind of had the ability to build from the ground up with reestablishing a program.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, everyone who had ever been here, was kind of gone, and we had some discussions. It was kind of funny when I first came in. They were like, "Well, you'll use the club team," and I was like, "We'll take a couple kids." They were all, we ended up taking a decent number of them. Great kids, hardworking kids, nice kids, and some very skilled kids.
Yes.
Dave Famara, I don't know if you knew Dave.
Yep.
Dave was awesome. He was a great captain.
Yeah.
Even a player like Pat Moscatello, Pat knew he wasn't a good player, but he was a great captain.
Yep.
And he was great academically, and he worked with everybody. And he him and Dave kind of had to herd cats with that first class of freshmen and kind of do that.
The program came back full varsity in 2016, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was 16.
Because 15, it was still a club.
Yeah.
And I came to Moravian the fall of 2013. So I was here to kind of see the progression of the program and seeing how it went from a club to varsity. How did you notice a change from what you had with the club to the first recruiting class you were able to bring in?
Oh yeah, I mean completely. Yeah, completely.
Just like
different.
night and day.
Yeah, yeah. Well, but I mean, it's so funny you say night and day. In some ways with talent, yeah. But those guys, the guys who were here before that, the club guys, they loved lacrosse and they loved playing for Moravian. They loved putting that jersey on. And, but there's a difference between you're practicing 2 days a week and you're practicing 6 days a week.
Correct.
You're playing 15 games as opposed to playing 6-7 games.
Commitment level as well.
15 guys on the team, 32 guys on the team. And then it's not to take anything away from them. They were great kids and they worked hard. And in a way, they're the legacy of this program. The program is the legacy of their work and what they do. So they're still connected.
So you're finally able to bring in recruiting classes and strengthen the program that was already here with the club. What was that like, seeing it progress year by year, moving forward all the way through the past couple of seasons?
It's great.
Yeah.
And we were successful that first year, although the competition, that we were playing, it's kind of funny. We were playing Goucher and we were losing substantially. Mm-hmm. And now the guys go into the Goucher game confident that that's a game we can win. Mm-hmm. That was just, it's part of the progression. You get better and better and better and better. and to see that growth, it's a really nice thing. It's more for the guys. We talk to the guys, like their hard work and their dedication is what's driven us to be better.
Yeah.
And their skill levels and how hard they work and their team and their, developing that tight-knit, cohesive group, which is what they have. They're really good with that.
We'll take a quick break to hear a word from our sponsors, and we'll get back into the past couple of seasons and the challenges and tribulations of what a pandemic did to the program, but also the success we've had this past couple of seasons. So we'll be right back here with men's lacrosse coach Dave Carty.
What can you do with Business Phone from Penn Teledata?
Make a conference call from the coffee shop.
Or connect from the back 9.
With unlimited phone services, 24-hour support, and mobile synergy, our cloud-based technology makes it easy to do business from anywhere. And we do mean anywhere.
No more being stuck in the office.
Which is great for everyone, I think.
Add cloud-based business phone service from Penn Teledata.
St. Luke's Orthopedic Care. Extraordinary care in motion.
Historic Hotel Bethlehem is perfect for any stay. The finely appointed rooms and suites are complemented by excellent dining choices featuring Chef Michael Adams, the tap room for drinks and casual fare, or an upscale dining experience with a view at 1741 on the terrace. For business meetings, visit our Executive Conference Center, stop by our women's boutique for a selection of fashion and jewelry, or grab a cone at our Hotel B ice cream parlor. Historic Hotel Bethlehem is where our history will make the memory of your stay last a lifetime.
Are you looking to get your hands on Moravian University Greyhounds gear? Head over to moraviansports.com and click the link Sideline Store under the tab Fan Zone to find our Moravian apparel store. Each month, there is a promotion that offers a discount to all things Greyhounds, from hats, hoodies, shirts, and more. Head to the Moravian Athletics Sideline Store today, powered by BSN Sports. And welcome back. We're here with head men's lacrosse coach Dave Carty. Talked a little bit about how you got started in the coaching career and a little bit of Moravian, but now we'll talk about trying to coach through a very confusing time. The season of 2020 gets cut short due to a pandemic. You're off to the start, you get the season going, and then comes to a screeching halt. What's kind of going through your head as a coach in charge of a program right now?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is it was horrible.
Yeah.
You don't have any control of it. You're talking seniors who work. This is the year, and they've worked so hard, and they've done some great things, and this is supposed to be the year they make their mark on the program, and then all of a sudden you're like, nope. And it was really hard on them, and for a program it was tough to see, because you work hard to be in that competitive mode, and then we were literally getting ready for a game. And Maribeth came downstairs. She's like, "Hey, we're putting it on ice." And then you got to go in that locker room and sit down and talk with the guys and tell them, "Yeah, your career's over."
Yeah.
And that was super. Well, we had no idea what the NCAA was going to do. Were we going to get the years back? Were we not going to get? It was just a very difficult time.
Yeah.
And then you don't even have to. You can't even do a senior game for them. You can't even there's just so many.
Because that's not anything you were thinking about. It's like there's nothing that we that as a staff you could have done to prepare to be like, you played your last game?
And we were making phone calls. I think it was Thursday that we found out, and we were making phone calls trying to set up a Saturday home game.
Just
to like give the seniors a day. Like, even if, at one point, we were talking to somebody else and I was like, listen, we'll come to you. Can we do our senior day to you?
Yeah.
Like even just
to have some
just to be able to
of...
do something. But they just said no. They came down and said no, period. You can't do anything. It's over. Everybody go home.
That's such, I can't imagine trying to, like, let alone for yourself, but trying to tell a group of individuals that, like, this was it. And you didn't know when. Like, there was no timeline. There's nothing you can really think about trying to be like, hey, this is going to be what we can do. It's just like, for now, you don't know what's next. Like, what was it like trying to rally the guys, keeping them in a positive mindset moving forward? Because you're not even on campus. It's Zooms. You're like all kinds of different. It's something you're not even used to.
Yeah, I think the Zoom thing helped. We did a lot of leadership development. We talked with the guys constantly. We tried to help them through the academic end of ending that semester and all those things. But again, like, some kids responded exceptionally well. Some kids it was really bad for.
Yeah.
And you had to kind of feel that out and kind of feel through it. So it was hard.
Talking to coaches about how they've dealt with it, there wasn't a correct answer because everything was up in the air. So trying to keep a group of individuals just in the proper mindset of, like, we don't know what's going to happen, but we have to keep plugging along. Was there something you were able to do to keep them active with keeping a stick in their hand, practicing drills, anything like?
Well, you told them, like, hey, you have your stick workouts, you have the things that you need to do, like hit the gym, like, but then they couldn't even go to a gym.
Yeah, it's such.
What I mean? Like, and they're like Zach Bergeron. Like, Zach said I had nothing to do, so I went and shot in a half hour a day.
Yeah.
And he was the second team all conference midfielder for us. Like,
it
was things like that. It was just hard, for them to stay motivated sometimes or to have the equipment to even, if you didn't have an at-home gym, you weren't going to work out.
Yeah.
Like, so, how are you going to do that? And I will say, Coach Long, like, sent body weight stuff out and rope stuff. Like, he did everything he could possibly do. He worked so hard to try to do something.
Just to keep them motivated.
Yeah.
To any capacity to make it feel like they were still working with Moravian, but it's on themselves at that point. Yeah. And it's so hard to stay motivated. So you go through, you're not really having a fall traditional season the following year, but you do find out you're going to be able to play games in a modified format. What was it like to kind of see a light at the end of the tunnel to tell your group of student athletes, like, we're going to play?
It's so funny because the thing that comes to me is not that.
Really?
No. Like, the thing that comes to me comes to mind with me is everything that they had to deal with to even get to that point.
Yeah.
And we all had to deal with.
Yeah.
Listen, it was hard on people. It was hard on the athletic trainers. It was hard on the kids. It was hard on the administration. It was, across the board. You're trying to do the right thing for the kids. You're trying to get that, but everybody has a comment on what you're doing, how you're doing it, when you're doing it. Listen, I have 2 young children. I have, my wife who's teaching class here at the time. Like, I'm exposing myself to 45 guys every day.
Yeah.
To coach and to be there with them, like, in the back of your mind, you're like, like, it's a lot of people.
Yeah.
But you're doing it because you want them to be successful and you want them, they got to do what they got to do. Like, we got to get out there and play.
Yeah.
Because it's what they need. And, even if you think about the trainers, the trainers were exposing themselves to 200, 250 kids a day.
Yeah.
Like, even with masks and cleaning. And, at the time, nobody really knew the levels of, it was stressful to people.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And in a funny way, it wasn't stressful for us and the guys.
Yeah.
Because we were so grateful to be with us and the guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was kind of mitigated. It was like, well, we can deal with this and be together or not be together.
Correct.
We need to be together. And that was kind of...
So going through all the procedures, protocols that were deemed necessary to get on the field, it was... I don't want to say pressure, but it's like the options are presented. It's a choice at that point. What was able to be done to just step out on the field. And it's a lot thinking about what we put ourselves through to play a game, to finally be out there again, just to have an experience.
Yeah, and then even when we started playing games in that spring, listen, we're getting ready to play Gwinnett Mercy. We have 39 guys on the roster. And our trainer at the time walks in and says, hey, I know we're playing tomorrow, but you have 4 positive tests and you have 22 guys out with contact tracing.
Wow.
Get on the bus. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, so that's a whole other obstacle you have to endure as a coach. It's like, what am I going to do now?
Yeah, I mean...
That's like a whole... That's not the primary thing you're worried about at this point, but now you're like, I'm getting on a bus.
Well, you have to worry about everything.
Yeah, there's so many factors.
And the stress of the kids. You would have a player who, coming into that game, was like, well, I'm the 8th midfielder. Like, I'll see a little time. I'll see... And all of a sudden, you're walking in the locker room, you're like, hey, by the way, like, you're on the first line. You're going to be the initiator. Like,
yeah,
you better... Let's get it done.
Yeah.
And guys were like... we walk in and, I think we played 7 games with 1 goalie.
Wow.
And you're like, yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. At this point, yeah.
And you just had to, and even you saw some funny things like Trevor DeZama.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who had a breakout year this year. Was great. Last year we play him. He's a freshman. We're kind of getting him used to down there. We play him. He has a really good game. And we're like, all right, listen, we're going to have to work him in a little more. Like, we're going to have to figure out some stuff. All right, make an appointment with him Monday. Like, let's talk to him on Monday. And Sunday morning phone rings. Hey, Trevor's tested positive for COVID. He's got to go through protocol.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right.
Now what? Yeah.
Like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
You had to just be like, all right, next. All right, it is what it is.
That mentality of just taking what's being thrown at you and just still being able to put a result out.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was tough on some guys.
Yeah. I can imagine. Yeah.
But they got through it. They were successful. We won games and, it was.
And it resulted in a landmark conference tournament win as well. So there's, through all the problems, for less of a better term, there's still a positive you can come out with a landmark conference victory over Susquehanna.
Yeah.
Leading into that. So thinking back about all of that you had to endure as a program to coming with a landmark conference victory in such a trivial, challenging year, what was that like for the guys to come away with that?
Oh, they were ecstatic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To be able to do that, to be able to win that game. The guys were actually kind of funny. They were talking about how it was just such a huge needle movement. So we beat them at home. We're going up there. The way the schedule worked out, we had to play them twice.
Yep.
So we go up there to play them on a Saturday, and we get handled. So we get back on that bus, and now we have to travel there.
Yep.
On Saturday. So we're on the bus, and it was just it was so down. The guys were so down. They just they felt horrible. Then we go up there the next week for the playoff game, and we win.
Yeah.
That bus back.
A completely different
completely
vibe.
different bus, And they worked hard at that, and they did the things that they needed to do, and the seniors played well, and everybody kind of stepped up. But it was, you're talking about the needle flopping back and forth, and they did a great job.
We finally get back into a somewhat normal routine this past season, including a trip to Florida. So you're able to take a trip during spring break, and you close out with, you have a game before then at home, so you have a home opener against Lebanon Valley, but you get to go to Florida, and you train down there all week. What was it like to finally get back with the group, have a relatively normal trip, and you come back from Florida with a victory?
Yeah, I mean, the guys are great. Great leadership, super responsible, mentally tough kids that really you can count on. That's one of the things that I'd say the guys are really getting good at. Took care of themselves, great leadership, flew down. Everyone was prepared to practice every day. Everybody was ready to do their thing. So that's it's a number of days where you're spending all that time together and everybody's having fun, and then to get that W at the end of the week is great.
And does that kind of trickle down effect from leadership with the upperclassmen all the way down through the newcomers? Because you've had a lot of key contributors in your youth, but the years of experience, although maybe taken away due to the COVID year, still a lot of leadership through that mentality of your upperclassmen?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that that's one thing that we've consistently grown with is good leadership. We've gone from here to, we just continue to get better. And that's part of watching a program develop.
Yes.
That understanding of commitment. And, you do everything right. You do the classroom right. You do off the field right. You do on the field right. And we are still growing, but those expectations of doing the right thing and getting good grades and showing up and working hard every day are, I feel that our guys are really kind of focusing on that.
That's great to see the culmination of where you started this program from to coming back full swing from a COVID year. It must feel rewarding in some sense that you're kind of seeing the development each and every year, and you're seeing the program get better and better.
Oh, definitely. And watching the guys have more success and seeing them be successful, and turning out a product of just a really great young man, I think is really what you're kind of focusing on.
And that's what I feel like almost every coach I've spoken to is it's not always wins and losses. You're building individuals up to go from their college experience into the world.
Yeah.
And having those relationships like you alluded to with your coaches and other peers, that's what this is all about, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, they go hand in hand. Like if you have a pack of really irresponsible kids who don't do the right thing and it's hard to win.
Yeah.
You're not setting yourself up to win. And getting the kids to work hard and focus. The guys go to class, they do what they're supposed to do, but they really do, they really do work hard, and they really do understand that it can't just be one thing. Like you can't just be a good lacrosse player. Like,
yes.
You got to go to class. You got to get good grades, because at the end of this, that's what you're going to be left with.
Yeah.
Nobody's walking in going, hey, you were a great attackman. Like, let's give you a job.
Yeah.
What was your GPA? How educated are you? Can you show up on time? Can you do the right thing? Can you, all those things that are super important.
And just, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention some of the games this year. One sticks out particularly in my head is the Susquehanna match.
Yeah.
The come from behind victory. Tell me a little bit. I'm getting chills thinking about the excitement level of that game, how you guys rally back and just keep pouring it on. What was that like for you on the sideline, falling behind a little bit and then rallying the guys back?
I'm glad you felt that way.
Of course. Yeah.
Unbelievably frustrated.
Yeah.
Unbelievably frustrated to unbelievably happy. One of the funny things about the guys is having that relationship with the guys. We're down a couple goals and we call timeout and we bring the guys in and we're like, come on, you need to do this, you need to do. And I'm not going to say the player. One of the players looks at me and says, we got it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'm going to worry about it. He's like, we got it. I'm telling you, we got it. We'll get it done. We'll fix it. And they did.
Turn the corner. Yeah.
And listen, they're a very talented team. They're very young. I think in the next few years, you're going to see them really, really play well. And he's a great coach. Stu's a great guy, and a great mentor, and a really good coach. Great. And to have that, listen, it is a rivalry for us, and we've won 3 out of the last 4. They're really good. But it was just that funny. Our guys just, they had that confidence. And we kind of talk all the time, like, why do we have to go down 2, 3 goals, 4 goals before we wake up and decide we're going to play? And that's something that's frustrating. And, from a coach's standpoint. But for them, it's really funny because their mental resiliency is just, they're like, yeah, we're down 3. It's okay.
Yeah.
And one thing we do talk about as a team, like, the game's not going to end 4-0.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Correct,
like the game's not going to end 4-0. So we're going to score goals. They're going to score goals. Like they just had their run. Let's go on our run.
Yeah.
But that was a great day. We had a lot of recruits. We had, it was a beautiful day. It was, it was right before Easter weekend. And, it was exciting.
Yeah, just little like aspects of that. Like obviously the stress you probably had worrying about going down and then obviously looking on the bright side of it coming out with a victory. But talk a little bit about the senior class you've had this year, going through all of that they endured and being able to fulfill their time here and walk away as a Greyhound.
Well, it's kind of funny because they were the last class to fill the team. So we had the Biasi class, who was the first group of recruits, and then that they stretched out and graduated. Griff, CJ, all those guys, Zach, Kevin, they were all in that class. Yeah. They had met them and they kind of were here with them. And we had in that class, there are some great, even if they weren't a great player, they were awesome people with great grades and really hardworking, nice kids. And I think that was kind of the trademark of their senior class, I would say, was very responsible guys who took their role as seniors very seriously and did a nice job.
And they come away, some of your seniors, and even 6-year senior Jimmy Schickey come away with landmark conference accolades this season as well.
They did, yeah, and they did a really nice job with that. It's kind of funny with different teams. You call guys and you say, hey, you made all conference. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't, some of them were like, oh, great. Like, but it wasn't the end all be all, which is, I guess, you're doing the right thing when the guys are more preoccupied with team success and the success of their, the other players.
So you complete the season, and now we have time to rebuild, look at what needs to improve, and move forward to next season. So what does the future of this program look like next year, Coach?
Listen, we have a lot of big shoes to fill, but we do feel like we have the guys here. We saw 5 or 6 freshmen this year play significant time.
Absolutely.
Aaron Judge, Salika, as freshmen offensive players were very good. Of course, we have sophomores, who are now juniors who saw substantial time. Mm-hmm. I feel like there's going to be some new faces. We have a very talented recruiting class coming in, and it's just going to be a little new, but I think it's going to be even a little bit better with some of that talent. So it'll be interesting
to see who kind of fills in and competitiveness within the squad already, to kind of see who's going to step up, move up, fill those shoes.
Yeah, there's 2 levels of being competitive. Do I want to work so hard that I'm going to start on this team, or I'm going to work so hard we're going to beat Scranton, E-Town, Catholic, Susky? Like, that's 2 different levels.
2 mentalities, yep.
And 2 mentalities. And, I think we want the later. Hopefully we'll get it.
That's a good point, seeing the individual, me working hard to be a starter on the team versus the overall impact of performance, even if you don't start, the role you fill for the better of the group.
Well, listen, I mean, your 30th guy, it's coaching cliche, but it's like, I wish people realized it was true. Your 30th guy is going to set your level of success as much as your first. If he comes out every day to practice and works hard and gives it his all and does the little things, then that puts pressure on the guys ahead of him. Mm-hmm. And having that competitiveness through the program is what makes it really, makes you really grow. And that's kind of what's important. It's funny because one of the things the guys have to get used to is it's not high school. Like, we're going out, we're trying to recruit. I'm trying to get a better recruit than our best player.
Yeah.
Not our 30th player.
Correct.
You know what I mean? I'm trying to, because then our number 1 becomes our number 2.
And then that natural competitive nature.
And he's also now going to play their number 2, not their number 1.
Yeah.
So he'll be even better.
Yeah.
And to develop that long depth, you have to show up and practice hard every day. You have a kid come in who's a freshman, and you thought like, oh, well, I'm going to be the 5th midi. Mm-hmm. Well, all of a sudden, 2 really good freshmen come in, and now you're the 7th midi.
Yeah. So that trickle-down effect, even if it's not the top guy and you think you're middle of the road, you still have to continue to work hard to prove that you can, like you said, it's all the way down.
Yeah, and that's kind of what you want to try to do, and to get that level of competitiveness is what, you really need to have to win that championship and to get to that next level.
Coach, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to sit down and talk with me and kind of reflect on your time as a student athlete all the way to your most recent season as the head coach of the Greyhounds men's lacrosse program. So thank you so much for doing this, meeting with me. And
thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Perfect. Thank you very much. It was great to talk with Dave Carty, the head coach of the men's lacrosse team here at Moravian University. We had the opportunity to reflect on his past as a student athlete, his coaching tenure, including bringing back the men's lacrosse program, and concluding with the most recent season here with the Greyhounds. Be sure to follow the men's lacrosse program on social media at Lax Hounds on Instagram and Twitter, LAX Hounds on Instagram and Twitter, and at Moravian Men's Lacrosse on Facebook. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and follow the Moravian University athletics accounts as well. That's all I have for you on this episode of the Hounds Huddle podcast. Until next time, I am LJ Smith, signing off.